Hello everyone and welcome to the show. Welcome back, first time for a few weeks. This is Andy here with Andy Shed Live, Series 18, episode number 1 for Sunday the 24th of August 2025. Hello, how are you? Good to see you all again. Back a couple of weeks later than originally anticipated from my break. I can take these off now. Yeah, back a couple of weeks later than anticipated, mainly because I've just been so busy with all sorts that's been going on over the summer months. Lots of vintage rallies and things. Lots of working on restoring boats. Lots of getting a radio station ready to go to air. So there'll be more about the radio station very soon. But yeah, welcome back. We've got YouTube has changed slightly while we've been away, so we've got a slightly different look to things. We've got these funny little fan symbol things in that I don't quite get what they are, but that's what those little sort of crown things are that are popping up in the in the live chat there. If you're watching this after the event, there is a replay of the live chat down the side of the screen here. So if you're watching on something like a smart TV and you just want to watch it passively, you don't have to like go on the YouTube page on the web or anything to watch it. You can work out what we're talking about because you'll see the chat appear down the side there. If you are watching it live, however, and you want to take part in the chat, you do need to get onto a YouTube page. What have I got on my arm there? Oh, I know what that is. That is wood stain off the boat. Been staining some wood on the boat. But yeah, so if you do want to take part in the chat, you are welcome to do so, but you need to get onto a YouTube page. Just search for Andy Shed on YouTube, you will find us, or you can find us by the via the website andyshed.coldpress.net. That's right, isn't it? Yeah, andyshed.coldpress.net. And you can find us there. Right, I need to change my view of what is going on. Right, I now need to have a little look at the chat, which I can't see. Hang on. How do I get to look at the chat now? Can't remember how to do it, you know. Really can't remember how to do it. I can do it by making that screen bigger for a start. Right, so what are people up to in the chat? Who have we got here? We've got we've got me for a start. We've got Fat Hobbit is here, Keith is here, Dominic is here, and Neville is here. And I'm sure there'll be some more along a little bit later. Fat Hobbit says, "Hello Andy, hello everyone, glad you're back." Keith says, "Hi, long time no see." Dominic says, "Good to see Andy Shed Live, back again, watching from the garden after a successful first barbecue." Where's mine? Where's mine? Don't say, "Did you get my email about the dreaded phone lamp?" I did, Dominic. It was a while ago, wasn't it? It was a couple of weeks ago, perhaps. I did. We will get to it. If not this week, maybe next week. We will get to phone lamps and things. So what's been going on over the summer? I hear you ask. Well, there's been stuff happening. eBay has changed over the summer. We now have this, what are they calling it? Buyer protection fee, which basically adds money on to all your listings and that. So stuff you listed for £9.99 now goes well over the £10, sometimes well over the 11 mark. So consequently, my model kits, my 009 narrow gauge model kits haven't been selling too well recently, and I think eBay is also not promoting them. Being from a private seller, eBay seems to not want private sellers anymore. eBay seems to just want people who are willing to give them extra money to have a shop on eBay, which of course I'm not going to do because I don't sell enough. But we are still making the model kits. If you want to go to andysemporium.coldpress.net, you can see and potentially buy all the little 009, which is 4mm scale narrow gauge kits on there, and we've got all sorts of ones. I'm making a new one at the minute. We're just in the beginnings of printing out a new model kit, which is this one. If I move some of the stuff off the desk here, you'll be able to see. This is going to be a station building that we are working on printing out. These are just the first prototype components for it, but it'll go together a bit like that, and it'll be a sort of wooden station, a wooden sort of sectional station building with a canopy over the platforms. So it'll be quite nice when it's done, but we're just working on getting it printed out at the moment. These have been partly assembled, but it all comes as a flat pack, this one. So what will be great about this, as opposed to the other kits, which this is a part of that we do, is this one, hopefully we'll be able to just send it out in a padded envelope rather than having to put it in a box, because it will be a completely flat pack kit. You see, they're just wall units for it. So you could potentially also have these and just make a bigger station by putting extra ones together like that and stuff. And there's more bits to print out yet that I've not actually done yet, but this is the sort of basics of it coming together. So we're working on that, as I say. www.andysemporium.coldpress.net. If you want to buy those, you should be able to buy them through there. If you can't, get in touch with me. If for any reason the sort of buy the kit page is down, we try and keep the prices on these kits down. It doesn't do this justice on the camera, but I really like this. I think the level of detail in this is pretty good with the window frames and everything. It is a superb little kit, this, shaping up to be a superb little kit anyway. So that's just one of the things that we've been up to over the summer. Telephones have been coming in steadily. Thank God it's only steadily, because I have been a little overrun with them. But we have got one particularly interesting one over the time that we've been off, which is this. This actually came off eBay and was relatively cheap. I think it was about a tenner, if that. It might not even have been a tenner, this. It's a trim phone, of course, and the what's it's of you, the observant of you will see that this trim phone that I've got here is actually a 12 button trim phone. So it's got a start and a hash key on it. It does work, but there is a problem with it. There is part of the mechanism that operates the hook switch inside it is broken, which is why that's wonky. Can you see? It's wonky. Now I've got some of those mechanisms somewhere. I bought a job lot of them a while ago, so at some point in the near future we will be taking this apart. And if if I don't drop it and smash it to smithereens first. Sometime in the near future we will be taking this apart and doing stuff with it. So watch out for that one if you want to know how to fix a 12 button trim phone. So that is on its way. I still have a massive pile of stuff to do, and phones and things to do. A byproduct of the 3D printing that I've been doing is we've got a lot of leftover plastic. This is the waste product from the 3D printing process. What they call rafts and infill for doing your prints. You can get a machine to sort of chavel all these up and make new printing filament with them, but the machines are ridiculously expensive. So I'm looking for somebody who's got one. So if you know anybody who's got a machine that recycles 3D printing filament, let me know, because I've been saving it because I do want to recycle it, but I need to find. What was that? What was that fell on the floor? Something went tink. Big styly. This happens occasionally and I never quite know what it is. Let me have a look. Oh, it was a bolt. This bolt's been sat on the desk for weeks because it's out of something, but I don't know what it's out of. So it's been sat here waiting for me to find out what it's out of. So that is here and has been here for a while. Right. Also, I've had a delivery. Actually came, I think it was yesterday, but I've not opened the delivery because I knew we were going to be on air today. So I will be opening the delivery in just a moment. Dominic says the eBay thing is odd. It is because eBay was all about a place for private sellers originally. Yeah, I think they've realised they can make more money out of people selling as a business, and that. I think that's what's happened there, Dominic, with them. But yeah, it's not what it once was. Let's say nowhere near as good as it once was. And if you're a private seller, they just don't seem to promote your listings anymore. If you go on the site and just type in 009 narrow gauge kits, mine is way down the listing. You can go and try it, because when I do it myself, it's miles down the listing. So have a little look, let me know where it turns up. But hopefully there'll be model railway exhibitions and swap meets and things actually happening in the real world as winter approaches, because winter is the season for model railway shows and that, and I'm hoping to get along to some of those and promote the kits and that there. So I might even see some of you at some of them. Right, so shall we have a look what's in this box that has come? Right, I need to move slightly, because the easiest way to do this, I think, is going to be to put the box up here and right, hang on now, got to see what camera I can get on it now. The box, can I get a camera on the box? Can I get any focus camera on the box? That would be good, wouldn't it? Hang on. Right, I think that's as good as it gets. Try now. Cut to that camera, and there we are. You now see the box together with a load of the rubbish 3D printing stuff and that. Right, so clues as to what's in the box. Does this give you a clue what's in the box? I'm misleading you slightly by holding it upside down. It should be that way up. So it's one of those. There's another one of those. Strangely, these are black. I've never seen a black one before. They've always been just metal. You know, just bare metal, the ones that I've seen before. I've never seen a black one of these before. Right. This is where we start throwing newspaper all over the floor. The thing about eBay is, always make sure there's nothing wrapped up in the newspaper. Like that, for instance. There's the third one of those. Okay. So we've got 3 of them. Well, that's quite a good start. We will remove the newspaper. What have people been reading out there in the world? It amazes me how much stuff still comes wrapped in newspaper because, well, who buys newspapers anymore? Daily Express, this, Wednesday the 30th of July, apparently. Perhaps people just buy newspaper to pack eBay stuff these days. I've not bought a newspaper for years. Right, get into sort of see what's in here. I'm quite surprised because I thought there were only 3 phones in here. And there appear to be at least 4 handsets. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Some of these handsets perhaps not attached to anything. That one, for instance. That one's not attached to anything. So we have a black handset there. And it's got its internals. By the looks of it. There will be a date on that somewhere, but I just can't read it because it's A, it's black, and B, it's small. So there'll be a date on there somewhere, it's just difficult to read. So there's a handset on its own. And then if I remove some more paper, we should start uncovering telephones. 1, 2, and 3. So here's the first one. Which handset does it go to? That one. So here's the first one that we've got. It's a little bit dark, that picture now, isn't it? I darkened that picture up earlier because it seemed too light. Just bear with me a sec while I attempt to mess with it. There. Right, let's see if that's improved it a bit, hasn't it? So there is the first phone. What is it, I hear you cry? It is a 741 from 1970. Manufacturer code GEN on the back there, GEN. So quite unusual in that it's a black 741. Black was the colour they seem to produce least of. These were only made in general in ivory, two-tone grey and black, although some people say there were some red ones made for fire stations, but nobody's really totally sure of if there were red ones or if they were an aftermarket thing, or how many red ones there were made, or who made them, or whatever. But some people do say they've got them, but they're very rare in red. But in general, you could only get them in black, two-tone grey or ivory, and black is the colour that you got least often. And I think the reason is because prior to plastic phones being introduced in the Bakelite era, basically I think all wall phones were black. So when all these magic coloured plastics came along, people were fed up of black, so they wanted any colour that wasn't black. So black ones weren't terribly popular. But I think the railways use black ones. People like that. In factories and that, in dirty working environments where your hands are going to be dirty when you pick the phone up, they tended to want black ones. So there's one black telephone. A 741. Not a 711, which is based on a 706, but a 741, which is based on a 746. Right. So now we have another phone, and this one, you'll see, has got its thing. It's one of these still attached to it, which is good. And this is how I normally see them, you know, unpainted. So I'm quite surprised to see black ones. Right. This. Now someone can perhaps get this out. We've got a bit tangled up here. Hang on a minute. Right. What has occurred? Right, sort of getting untangled. Right, this one is another 741 from, I think it's 1978. It's a bit hard to see with it still having the thing on here. So this is a later one from 1978. That's nice because it's still got the opal in the middle, even though it's not got a dial label in it. It has still got the opal. In fact, it looks in really good condition, that one. I wonder if that might be one that's not been issued, with it being in such good condition. Although there is like paint or something on the handset cord, so perhaps it has been issued. But there you go, there's that one. See, I knew I'd do that eventually. And this one has also got a short, but it has got a cord on it, so this one potentially might work. As it is, we're not going to do anything to it much. So I'll put that one down there. remove a bit more newspaper out of the box, just in case there are any extra goodies we haven't spotted. I don't actually think there are. And finally, we've got another 741, another GEN from 1970. So this is like the first one that we had. The line code, well, that's what's passing as a line code on it. That. So that's a bit of a mess, really. But other than that, it looks in fairly good shape. It's crucially got the little screw in the bottom of here. These screws are quite fancy. You don't really want to have to replace those, and this one here was almost falling out, but it is there. The great thing about this is it's got no dial. It's one of those. It's got an original GEC lift handset dial label in it, if you can see that. So that is very unusual. Not much use when you want to make a call, but it's okay for receiving calls, and it is quite an unusual thing. So what I'm going to do now is, having said those little screws are rare, just going to take the rest of this paper out the bottom of this box, just to make sure there aren't any more that have fallen out from the bottom of here. No, there aren't. Right, so the big mess of newspaper that I've now got around here can now go back in the box. So just bear with me a moment while we get rid of this mess of paper. Just talk amongst yourselves a minute. You may have noticed I have already undone this box before we came on, because I hate unboxing videos. I find them the most boring thing. Next to watching sport on TV, I find unboxing videos the most boring thing on the planet. No, I tell a lie. Listening to Keir Starmer speak is the most boring thing on the planet. Heard a good joke over the summer. What do you call Keir Starmer at the bottom of the Mariana Trench? Answer: too shallow. Right. Last bits of rubbish. Put that down here out of the way. Right. That's it. Box of bits goes down there. I will sit back down. And normal service is now being resumed. Right. What have people been up to in the chat while I've been doing all that? Dominic says, I get a free local paper and it's great. So we get one sometimes here. Excuse me. My pizza's repeating on me. Yeah, we get one sometimes here. It's called So Balls Over, the local paper that we get here. It's 99.9% adverts. Um, um, Dominic says, I like to pick out random words in bold on each headline though. Why? No idea why. Gambo is with us. Hi Gambo. He's just joined us. Says he's just home from work. Oh well, somebody's got to, Gambo. Somebody's got to. He says, BT has finally cut his copper line. Yeah, I think they're going to be doing it very soon around here as well. There's lots of sort of private contractors laying what they laughingly call cables at the moment around here, so I think it's going to happen soon, but we're holding out for as long as we possibly can. Saw the man down the hole and said, what are you doing? He said, I'm putting in fibre cables. And I said, oh, that's bad. He says, why? I said, because fibre is shit. Oh, why is fibre shit? Fibre's supposed to be faster. Yes, it's alright until you have a power cut when your phone doesn't work at all and you can't actually phone the police or you can't phone the hospital in the event of a power cut because your phone goes off. Ooh, never thought of that. Gambo says, my rotary phones now accept calls but won't dial out. What you need is a PBX, Gambo. What you need is a cheap PBX, like the ones that Panasonic made or a BT Revelation, and that will allow your rotary phones to still dial out because you can set it that it goes pulse dialing as far as the PBX and then it goes tone dialing from the PBX out to BT. That is how I've got mine in readiness. Dominic says, it's very sad. He says, I don't like how BT didn't provide anything to work with my pulse dial phones. Well, what you have to do, Dominic, you have to turn around to BT and say, you know, now you've cut my copper landline, Mr. BT. Yes. I say, well, I don't want your service anymore. Terminate my contract, please. And then they go, oh, don't leave us. Why are you leaving us? And say, well, you're not offering the service that I want anymore. I want a copper landline. You're not offering a copper landline anymore. Off you go on your bike. Oh, but don't you want a phone? Yes, I want a phone. And basically, now it's all voice over IP, and I can get a SIM card from 3 for £10 a month. That gives me unlimited data on it. Yeah, so that's what you should do. Dump BT. BT obviously don't care about the customers. They'll not listen to what anybody said to them. So dump them. Gambo says those 741 cover screws are rare as hen's teeth, just like the rubber grommet on the Niscalite wall phones. What does it mean, Bakelite wall phones? Perhaps. Maybe we can make those rubber grommets. Maybe we can 3D print those. I'll have to have a look at that one. Because you can get 3D printing filament that is soft. It is like rubber. So perhaps we could make those. Yeah, cool. Right, okay. So yeah, so that's basically the size of it at the moment of what's going on. So we've got away with it for now. At least I think we've got away with it for now.